Hi, I'm Steve Tallman. On behalf of my co-authors, Yadong Luo and Peter Buckley, I invite you to read our article, Business Models in the Global Competition, in the November 2018 issue of Global Strategy Journal. In it, we look at the business model, a framework by which firms orchestrate their resources, their organization, their strategies, and some plan for revenue generation. Business models are widely discussed in the business press, but they're not as widely studied by business scholars. And this is particularly true in the case of global competition or the global business environment, where very little scholarly activity has taken place. We feel that this is a major issue for global business, but also for global business studies. The complexity, the connectivity, the ubiquitous application of technology have made the global business environment a very difficult place in which to compete. On top of this, this is a constantly evolving environment, but one with considerable volatility as sudden change takes place. The United States suddenly applies tariffs across the board to imports from its major competitor and supplier, China. The European Union loses a member. The United Kingdom decides to Brexit, changing the terms of competition for a multitude of firms. These sorts of conditions mean that companies need to consider their business plans or business models for this environment. In particular, we feel that this has three major issues for developing business models. One, multinational firms need to understand what they're doing on a worldwide basis. They need a global business model. But since every environment is different, as they cross borders, they face different institutions, different cultures, customers with different expectations, different levels of economic development, and so forth. The global business model must be adaptable to local business conditions. We need a business model really for every country in which we compete. And third, because this is an evolving and volatile environment, business models need to be flexible and adaptable, and the ability to innovate, to change what we're doing, must be baked into our business model. If we look at the parts of the business model, its value proposition must be able to change from place to place and over time. Whether we're looking at value creation, the ability of the firm to come up with a valuable product, good, or service for its customers, which is subject to the demands, the needs, the desires of these customers. Those vary from place to place, which means that our value creation activities need to vary from place to place. Value delivery, the ability to take this value that we've created and actually deliver it to our customers, whether this is a good that must be transported across bounds or a service which may move electronically but still is subject to different regulations, new ideas about data limitations and privacy, for instance. Delivery of value is not a given from place to place. Our business models need to be flexible. Value capture, the ability of the firm to capture some of the value that it creates in the form of a revenue stream, becomes much more complex when we cross borders. We face exchange rate risk, we face different tax regimes, we look at transfer pricing, and we simply must be prepared to adapt our model for value capture as we move across borders. And finally, we include value allocation, which recognizes that most value propositions today are tied to a complex network of providers and distributors and customers, and that all of these participants in the value network of the firm must be allocated some share of the revenue as an incentive and reward. And that since these people are going to be in many countries, we again face issues of tax arbitrage, of transfer pricing, and essentially the impact of global financial network must be taken into account. Now, fortunately, firms have already begun to innovate, and changes have taken place in the global business environment that can be included in business model planning. The idea of value production networks has become very common. Firms more and more focus on critical aspects of value creation for themselves and outsource and offshore much of the value creation to a widely dispersed network of affiliated, allied, and contracted suppliers. We have begun to look at emerging markets not just as markets, but as also sources of innovation, new ideas, new products, things like reverse innovation and growth in these markets, driving the overall model for both intellectual property creation and value creation within the firm. Overall, the need to integrate firm-specific advantage, very carefully defined, with the country-specific advantage of accessing different locations, again, very carefully defined, has become a critical process in today's demanding global environment. And business models of multinational firms simply must take this into consideration. We think that our article offers at least an initial view of these processes, of these business models, of this complex environment, and we encourage you to read it and then to take our ideas and move forward with them. Thanks very much.